Hola amigos. I did a test blog for this series yesterday and it was well received. So here I go. This is number 2. Yesterday I didn't introduce myself properly, so I'll do that now. My name is Graham, and it's not who I am, but what I've been doing for the last long time is since 1984 or 85 I've been a professional DJ. I live in Amsterdam, it's my base, and more recently I've been doing production work, and less DJing, more production work. There's probable news of more DJing coming up soon, but I'm also a breath worker, and I coach people in a specific breath technique, which is also connected to meditation and shamanic work, and I'm developing this, and it's called a circular breathwork meditation. And I also like to think of myself as a perfectly ordinary bloke that occasionally has extraordinary experiences and went through a transition around the age of 40, which I talked a little about yesterday in yesterday's blog, and how what I'd like to emphasize a little bit more is around that transition period. I felt like I was going crazy, and actually have felt that way for many years, and still do. And in a sense, the part of me that feels crazy is the ordinary bloke having difficulty with the spiritual stuff and trying to integrate that and talking in spiritual terms, partaking in spiritual activities. The ordinary bloke's going, what is this? What am I doing? What are you talking about now? And this blog is a share. And I hope it'll reach out to people that are going through similar experiences or recognize that experience. And some people I talk to in the spiritual community, they don't have any difficulty with subjects like karma or past lives or channeling or, auras or chakras. And I have less difficulties with them now because I've studied this, and I feel there's some credibility in holistic health approaches and so forth and so forth. But I tell you, I come from a time, place, understanding of reality which is very different, and so I still have a voice in my head saying, this is crazy, Graham, this is just nuts, this is woo woo, la la. I was talking to somebody quite recently who had been on heavy sedation, depressed, a lot of problems in her life. Until our conversation, she had no idea that she had psychic abilities. I'm surrounded by people with psychic abilities. It was very clear to me just talking to her and the way she was talking. And I asked her a number of questions, and her problems were clearly related to these issues which she had never identified as being psychic abilities. And so I asked her who she had talked about this stuff with, whether she talked to her doctor about this sensitivity that she had, and she hadn't even talked to her doctor. She had talked to nobody. And that was crazy to me, but it was also an inspiration. We need to address that which sounds crazy, and actually it really feels like we're going crazy because the brain is adjusting. And we live in an environment which doesn't encourage this, so this blog is about sharing these experiences, so I hope you can get something out of this. And for me, the transition started with reading books, so be careful which books you read because they can really mess with your head. And the first book that started to mess with my head was Yanni King and the Patah tapes, and this was channeled transcripts from a being that lives on the Pleiades by Orion's Belt. And this book was actually sent to me through the post, and I thought the person that sent it to me was crazy for sending it. Why? I'm interested in Star Trek, and that's about it, space-wise. Yeah, I thought maybe UFOs are a real phenomenon, but I also thought they're a psychological phenomenon, quite possibly also, and still. We'll talk about that later. But I was reading Carl Jung at the time, well-respected psychologist, brilliant brain, also interested in mysticism, which was radical reading for me also. I was reading about horoscopes, I was reading about alchemy, a lot of information I'd never read before or come across before. He talked a lot about synchronicity. This is his thing. He talked about the collective unconscious. These were new concepts to me, but they opened my eyes, and from a well-respected intellectual, no problem. Well, Patel was saying similar stuff, and that really shook me. But the most interesting thing about this Patel, the book, which I took seriously because of the similarity with Carl Jung, and kind of switched my reading because the Patel tapes were quite interesting actually, is that I felt extremely emotional. I had a very, very emotional response to the Patel tapes. And that hooked me and really engaged my interest on a new level. And that was the first book of many strange books that I read over the next years, which really impacted on me well before a point at which my life and my travels also started to confront me with strange experiences, or at least experiences where I felt I was strange, or this was strange. So, do I have anything more to say at this point? Probably I'm going to leave it there, and maybe next time I'll talk about the next weird stuff that I was reading and the impact that that had on me. But that depends on you. If you think what I have to say here is interesting. And did I mention the book that I'm reading, that I'm writing, that I've written 100 pages in 20 days? And this is part of the motivation. I'm looking at these questions. This blog is about what I'm writing in this book. And in the book I'm asking, is my life guided? Strange question. Am I nuts for even considering it? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. That's for you to decide. I know I'm not nuts. Okay, that's it from me, Graham. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you like the video, let me know, because it's important. If you don't like the video, let me know, because then I'll stop doing them. Okay, that's it. Keep breathing. Bye-bye.